right, welcome to the stream today. This is going to be your one-stop, what do they say? One-stop shop for all of the Korean particles. We're going to cover topic markers, subject markers, and object markers. And we're going to go first with object markers, and then we're going to go into topic marker and then subject marker in that order, because the object marker is the simpler of the three. And we're going to get started really soon. I'm just getting my notebook or my little tablet set up here so that I can read your comments, because I can't see them yet. I can look at my phone and see what you guys are saying so far. Namsa, hey, I just realized your name is Saram backward. I had this open a different tab and it scared me. Okay, I think that would be here. Sorry, we will be starting we'll be starting shortly. We'll be starting shortly. Just getting the comments on the screen. There we go. Okay, now I can see your comments, and now I can see that the chat is live. Is it early where you are? No, here it is 2 p.m. It's 2 o'clock here. What time is it for all of you? And I always start these a couple minutes early because some people are still coming in. I don't want to just start and then go for people who are still coming into the live chat. Before we get started, though, a couple things. One thing is I got new markers because the other ones were kept dying on me, especially the blue. One thing is, first, we have a really active Discord, which is a chat. We have a really active chat room. And there's a link to join the chat room in my community tab. But if someone is here who can copy that link into the chat right now, then you guys can go join that and check it out. Because currently we have about 200 people in there, and it's only been open for about 6 days or so. So it's pretty active, and a lot of us hang out there and we ask Korean questions like all day and all night. And there's practice in Korean, there's voice chat, and there's a media channel where you can just post like videos of K-pop or share whatever you're listening to. I can't send it, it's not permitted. Oh, okay, that means I think our normal admin, oh, she just came in. Himang. Himang, can you post the Discord link in the chat for the chat room into this chat so that people can join? So like I said, it's a new channel, so we just started, so there's about 200 people, but I estimate we're going to get a lot more. I'm half asleep. Yeah, I figured you were sleeping. Sorry, we'll get started shortly. We're just first things first is I wanted to announce that we have a Discord going now that is pretty popular, I'd say. Let me just make this a little bit higher so it doesn't cut off my head. Bangtan BB, hi Billy, hey. Yes, Himang just posted the link for discord.gg TJM T6ZM. Yes, so if you click on that link that Himang just posted, you'll get to join our chat room. You have to sign up for a Discord account, but it's really easy to do. You just put an email in, and it's free. And you can join in. There's lots of us there. There's some native Koreans in there. I'm in there a lot of the time. Giselle, hey Billy, just bought your first book. Really helpful and amazing. Thanks. I love hearing when people are starting to learn Korean. I like hearing about that. Love these live streams. Nice, nice. Never been able to go on a live stream before. Nice. Okay, so I'll get started. So again, join the Discord. It's getting more active, and you can practice Korean in there. So it's a good opportunity to hang out with other people who are learning Korean, get feedback on what you're learning, ask questions, and it's all nice. We're all friendly. If there's anyone who you think is not being friendly, let me or another moderator know right away, and we'll take care of it. So everyone there is friendly because we know that sometimes public chat rooms can get some people who, not necessarily people, some people might have bad days, or some people might want to disturb a chat or bother it. And there might be those types of people in any online community, but we like to filter that. We want to keep this a fun, friendly place for everyone to ask their questions about Korean without being judged or mocked or anything like that. I'll drop the hammer. Yeah, we also have a few more mods now though, so. Discord link. Oh yeah, and Ahimang, you can feel free to post the Discord link as many times as you want in here if people keep asking for it. I mean, of course, not like every second, but I'm fine with people knowing about the Discord because I'd like to get a lot of you in there. I think that if you guys have questions normally through the day, or you watch a live stream and you have a question that I didn't answer, you can feel free to send it to me in an email. You can write a comment on the YouTube channel here, or you can send me a tweet, whatever you want. I'll try to reply to it. But if you still have something you want to talk about, feel free to post it in the Discord chat and other people can try to answer it if I'm not in there. I was told to tell you that I'm an army. Oh, to Ahimang. 300 people after the stream. We'll see. Like I said, last time I didn't announce it in the chat. I didn't post the link in this live chat, and we already had about 200 people showing up. So it should be great. More people is better. We want more people, that way it's more active and there's more levels of Korean and more people can help each other out. There's also a channel in there called Korean Only, where you can just only speak in Korean, and there's every level of Korean. You can practice the most basic Korean if you want, or you can practice longer Korean, and nobody's going to judge you there. Okay, yeah, feel free to spam the link again, Ahimang. All right, so that's what I wanted to do first of all. The next thing is about what we're going to be learning today: object marker, topic marker, and subject marker. I've actually already done videos about these. I've done a video about the object marker separately, which I did on my Learn Korean series. I also did a video about the topic marker and the subject marker together in another video. So then why am I doing another live stream about it? Well, two reasons. One reason is I put up to a vote what you guys want me to talk about in the live streams, because these live streams are for you guys. It's for my subscribers. I want to do something to keep you guys active in learning Korean. I want to make sure that you're not just watching my videos once a week and, oh, Billy didn't put a Korean lesson this week, I'm not going to study Korean. I don't want that. I want you to be like, oh, I should always be studying Korean, whether it's a little bit or a lot. So these live streams are just kind of ways to give you more excuses to learn Korean, something to help keep you going. But the other reason that I'm doing this live stream is because this topic, specifically topic marker and subject marker, these are not easy to understand. But if you search on the internet for topic marker or subject marker lesson, you'll find like at least 100 YouTube videos, and at least a dozen of those are by large YouTube channels, such as mine or Talk to Me in Korean or others. So it's not like you can't find lessons about these, but the thing is, I think the problem is, and even with my own video about these, is that we're trying to make, Korean teachers, we're trying to make a lesson that's short and simple and really easy to get, like as short as possible, because, we want you to click on it. We want you to be entertained. We don't want you to, think, oh, this is too long and too boring and, not watch it. But as a result, sometimes things get oversimplified, or worse, sometimes things get over-explained. Too much information isn't good when you're just trying to put together some basic sentences. So for today's lesson, so if you're wondering, well, what is today's lesson going to be? Today's lesson is going to be a basic and in-depth, if that makes sense, overview. We're not going to go into little tiny details about these, because that's not, in my opinion, that's not valuable to anybody except an advanced Korean learner. But we will go into the most basics, so we'll cover the most basics again. I have a new way that I'd like to explain the topic marker that I think makes a little bit more sense even, that I've started using. And I'll contrast the topic marker with the subject marker and also talk about how they can be combined. And we'll go into a little bit more detail about how they're actually written. So they might appear differently than what you know, which I think also can contribute to a lot of confusion. Just look at the chat. Please notice me, a himo. Yeah, you don't need to tell me to notice you. I notice all of you guys. I'm trying to read all your chat, but I can't read them out loud or I wouldn't be able to teach here. So basically in the summary, there are tons and tons of details about all of these that you could go learning. Like, oh, this one isn't used with this verb, and oh, this is specifically, in this situation, it sounds a little bit awkward. We're not going to go into that because honestly, frankly, that's not important that you know that in order to have a Korean conversation. That would be important to know if you're already good at Korean and you want to polish it up. Like, oh, this is more natural in this situation, or that situation, it kind of is different. We can do that later for more, if we do an advanced live stream, if I want to do a, intermediate only live stream, which I might do. But this is going to be applicable to everyone. So I'd say beginner to low intermediate would be best for this lesson that we're going to do today. The other thing I wanted to note is that all three of these particles in casual speech, all three of these particles can be removed. So what I mean by that is native Korean speaking might not always use these when they're supposed to. So there is still the meaning of these particles in the sentence. They simply do not say them. I'll give you a quick example. So we have the object marker. I'll teach this soon, but I'll just give you a really quick. 밥을 먹어요 just means I eat pap, I eat a meal, or I eat rice. And we'll talk about how this is used really soon. So you might have a sentence, 밥을 먹어요, I eat rice. Well, in Korean, you should just say 밥을 먹어요, but typically when Korean people are speaking, especially with verbs, Koreans will often just remove the object marker. So they'll just say 밥 먹어요, like 밥 먹었어, I ate, I already ate, 밥 이미 먹었어. They don't say the object marker necessarily, but that does not mean the object marker's meaning is not still here. I'll explain the object marker again in a second, but the object marker is used to mark. It's used to show which noun. It's used to show what noun is being affected by a verb. So we have eating is affecting, eating the verb is affecting the noun, 밥. So eating, what are you eating? Well, what is this verb eat affecting? It's affecting 밥. It's affecting food. So you are eating food. So the meaning of the object marker is here, regardless of whether you use it or not. Regardless of whether a Korean says 밥을 먹어요 or 밥 먹어요. In fact, more often in casual speech, Koreans will just say 밥 먹어요. Regardless of whether they say it or not, it has the exact same meaning. If you were to say, like you could even say, write this sentence more clearly, clarify this sentence, and they would know that it's supposed to have an object marker there. So even if it's not here, it is still assumed to be here, depending on the context, right? So this means to eat food. You don't need to worry what particle is it. It's going to be the object marker or whatever particle that you're supposed to be using. So that's kind of one thing that can cause confusion. For example, you might have somebody write 이거, which is 이것, means this thing or just this. That's how you say this as a noun. It's a noun. So, but in spoken Korean, often Korean people will just say 이것, because it's quicker than 이것. They'll say 이거 instead of 이것. So they'll say 이것 in spoken Korean. And then when they add a marker, let's say they wanted to say this is good, right? So 좋아요. 좋아, 너무 좋아. I love it. It's great. 이거 좋아요. They would just say 이거 좋아요. But you're missing, there's no particle here. There should be a particle here. What particle? Well, it could be the topic marker or it could be the subject marker. It depends on what they're trying to say. Typically, when they're just saying 이것, they're trying to say 이거 시 for like this. This is good. But there's no marker and they would understand on the context whether it's being used with the topic marker or the subject marker or the object marker. It's say 이거 먹어요, right? We had our previous verb to eat. Well, this is conjugated. So this is I eat or you eat. So 이거 먹어요. So someone eats this, right? Here, there's no particle, but a Korean would just say 이거 먹어요 instead of 이거를 or 이것을 먹어요. They would just say 이거 먹어요 because it's not necessary to say these markers always especially when the meaning of them is clear otherwise. So again, I haven't yet explained in today's lesson how to use these 3 markers yet, but I wanted to first let you know that oftentimes these are not used, which I think leads to confusion, because you might be learning Korean by reading someone's tweets, and in a tweet, to save space, because Twitter limits what you can write, they would remove a lot of stuff. So they might even make it casual Korean so that they can say more. They might shorten it even more if they could. They try to shorten things as much as possible just to get it to fit. And when people are speaking casual Korean too, they just want to, get out what they want to say as fast as possible. So often these things get left on the side of the road. And a learner looks at that sentence and they see, well, there's no particle, or what particle is this? And they think it must be the object marker, because that's how it was used in another sentence. Or Korean doesn't need these particles. They might think that too. When in reality, it's simply Korean speaking much more casually and much more quickly, and these tend to get dropped. But that's not to say you need to, or you should even drop these. You should use these until you are already very good at speaking Korean. So like, advanced low or intermediate high level. When you're really good at speaking Korean, feel free to drop these as you wish, because you'll understand where it feels natural to drop them and where it doesn't feel natural to drop them. And if you're already familiar with these, so I'll give you a quick tip. So this is not for beginners, but if you're already familiar with these, you can drop these 3 particles whenever the meaning is not vague. If the meaning of the sentence would be vague otherwise, you have to use these. Okay, now beginners, you can listen again. Okay, so beginners or everyone who's just starting, always use these. Do not think that just because Koreans drop them that you can drop them too, because there are many situations when a sentence would be vague or even have a different meaning if you use the wrong particle or not use a particle, especially when writing Korean and the person can't know exactly what you're trying to say, because there's some clues when you're speaking Korean that could help the other person understand exactly what you're saying. But in written Korean, it can be a little bit more vague. So again, always use these every time in Korean when you're writing. Even if the Korean you're talking with or another person you're talking with doesn't use them, you should always use these to get practice to understand how they're being used. It will not sound strange if you guys use these. So you don't have to worry that your Korean won't sound natural if I use these. No, it'll still sound fine. It's just Koreans know when they can remove them because it makes their sentence shorter and faster. Okay, I'm going to look at the chat for just a second. The red is way too light. Oh, okay, sorry. I won't use that's the orange. It just says object marker, topic marker, subject marker. But yeah, I won't use this one then if it's too light. I'll use pink. Is this one okay? If I use pink? Let me check to see what it looks like on the chat. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's kind of light. Let me use purple actually. Purple is 100% going to be clean and easy to read. Okay, I'll use purple for next. All right. Another thing that I want to mention is specifically about the topic marker and the subject marker. There are many cases, in fact, grammatically, most of the time, grammatically, you can use either the topic marker or the subject marker. You're not going to be wrong. That's because both of these can be correct. They have a similar function of each other. They just have a different nuance. So the main difference between the topic marker and the subject marker is their nuance, not their exact meaning. They have a very similar meaning, very similar usage, but slightly different nuance, which we'll talk about. So if you're making a sentence and you're not sure, should I use the topic marker or the subject marker? You're not going to be wrong if you misuse it. Instead, your sentence will have a slightly different nuance. It'll feel a little different, but the overall meaning of your sentence should be the same. However, I will say this. If you're not sure, so let's say you've already learned the topic marker and subject marker basically, but you get confused about which one to use. Just use the subject marker. If you get confused which one you should use, just use the subject marker. At the very least, you won't make any sentences that are actually grammatically wrong, you instead might make some sentences that sound a little bit strange, like you could when misusing any particle. But the subject marker, I'd say, is a little bit more straightforward and a little bit more bland, that you can get away using the subject marker in most situations. Even if it shouldn't normally be used there, you're still going to have a proper grammatically correct sentence that makes sense. So of topic and subject marker, I would say subject marker is the safer one if you're not sure what to do. So that's your first thing, is you can fall back on the subject marker. And now let's go ahead and actually learn these, because I haven't taught you anything yet today. Okay, there will be no quiz today. Instead, Zilly, you beat me. Let's see. Yes, you can. And again, one more time for everyone who came late, check out the Discord channel. There's a link in the chat, and you can, it's a chat room where you can interact with all of us, practice Korean, ask questions, talk with other people, share K-pop videos or whatever you want. And you can join that. There's a link in the chat room. So another thing is this lesson has no quiz at the end. The reason is there's only 3 particles, and I couldn't really think of a good quiz that would actually, well, I'll try to think of something, but it'll be a little bit different. So instead, I'd like you guys to ask questions and make example sentences along with me while we do this lesson. So I'm going to look at the chat for just a moment and check to see if there's anything else before I get started. We're going to go first into the object marker. Can you bring the board closer? If I bring it closer, there's a problem. That is, you won't be able to see as much of the board. That's just how it works. So I move a little bit closer, but if I keep moving it closer, then you won't be able to see if I write down anywhere below here. So there's not going to be. Okay. Thanks for the F. It's back, it's back. Okay, can you give us some examples? I'm still a little lost. Well, yeah, I haven't taught anything yet. I've only been giving a summary of what we're going to be learning so far. Okay, so in my opinion, the object marker is the easiest of the 3 to learn. And the object marker is used to, well, if you're familiar with English grammar, you can easily get this one, but I know most people don't necessarily study English grammar separately. The object marker marks the object. Literally, in an English sentence, you might have a sentence like this: I like cheese. Okay, I like cheese. Very basic sentence. Or let's do another one. He reads a book. So we can have these really basic sentences. Anytime that you have an action verb, so any verb that does anything, for example, like, read, live, see, hear, any verb where you're doing anything whatsoever is an action verb. And in English and in Korean, action verbs do things, right? So you can just say, oh, I like. Yes, I like that. I like it. Or you can just say, oh, I read. I read every day. I read. You don't have to necessarily read something. You can just read. You can swim. You don't necessarily have to, well, you can't really swim something. Okay, so any action verb in English and Korean, action verbs, not all action verbs, but many action verbs can do something to something. So for example, you have like. You can like cheese. You can like Korea. You can like K-pop. Or you have read. You can read by itself, or you can read a book. You can read the newspaper. You can even read a person. They might have idiomatic usages for this. You can see a movie. You can see a person. You can see an answer. You can do things to other things. So you can affect something, an action verb, if the action verb can affect something, whatever that verb is doing something to, anything, whether you're liking it or reading it or looking at it or listening or hitting it, this noun, this thing or person, whether it's I like you, then it would be a person, but this noun, this thing, is considered to be in English and in Korean an object. So this is one case where if you're really familiar with English grammar, this is a bit easier to grasp. So I like cheese. We have I, which is just me. Like is a verb, specifically an action verb, and cheese is an object. So the verb like does something to something else, and whatever is being done, whatever is getting something done to it, is considered to be the object. So that is cheese in this case. That is what the object marker is for Korean. In English, there is no such thing as the object marker. We can see what the object is just by looking at what the verb is doing. So, for example, we might say, I like green cheese. I like cheese that is big. We can say any sort of description about the cheese. It doesn't matter. Cheese or whatever, that thing that we're doing something to is the object. In Korean, we have to mark that. So in Korean, we have to put a marker after the object, but before the verb, since Korean grammar is reversed. English goes verb and then object. So verb first, object next. In Korean, it's the other way around. In Korean, it's object and then verb. So the sentence, I like cheese, in Korean would be I and then cheese like. 저는 치즈를 좋아요. No, not 좋아요. 좋아요. Okay, the other thing is, again, this is only action verbs. Because remember, what is the verb 좋다? What does the verb 좋다 mean? 좋다 does not mean to like. 좋다 means to be good. Like 좋아요, that's great. That's really good. 너무 좋아요. It's really good. Literally means to be good. It does not mean to like. So this is not an action verb, and this cannot do anything to another verb. You cannot good a person. You cannot good a cheese. You can like cheese, but you cannot good a cheese. Instead, cheese is good. This is a descriptive verb, or you can consider it to be kind of like an adjective, but it cannot have an object marker. Only an action verb that does something to something else can have an object. So I'm glad you actually mentioned that, because that's one of the things I'm going to talk about next also for this. A really common usage that I see. So again, this is only for action verbs. So in Korean you would say I cheese like. And to say cheese like, this cheese here is the object and like is the verb. So we have to mark the object as such. We have to tell the listener, hey, this is the object. This is what I like. Not, maybe my sentence is longer. You're like, oh, I really enjoy watching movies and I cheese like, okay? So we have this longer sentence. You mark the object with the object marker to tell the listener, this is specifically what the verb, which is going to come next, because in Korean, it's, like I said, the object comes first, then the verb. So this is I'm gonna tell you what's going to happen, but whatever is going to happen happens to this object. So you mark it with the object marker. And what that is you add after a consonant, and you add le after a vowel. So in this case, I'll tell you what it's going to be. So cheese is 치즈 in Korean, and like 좋아해요. This is already conjugated. The verb for to like is 좋아하다. I'll write that here too, so that you don't think 좋아해요 is the verb. 좋아하다 is the original verb, and 좋아해요 is when you use it, because you can't just use the verb. This would be like the form you'd find in a dictionary. 치즈 좋아해요. So you have to mark this. You have to say, well, what is it that I like? Well, I like cheese. 치즈를 좋아해요. So that tells the listener when you're speaking, blah, 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 치즈를, they hear, oh, cheese is going to have something done to it because I heard this marker. I know that something is going to happen to cheese. Maybe you're going to kick it. Maybe you're going to eat it. Maybe you dislike it. Whatever, as soon as the Korean hears this, they're going to know that this is being used as an object. So they know that there is an action verb that's doing something to the cheese. Why that's important? Well, what if you were, so if you have 치즈를 좋아해요. So I like cheese. So why is that important? You might have a situation where you just want to say, 저는 치즈를, if you were to ask someone, did you eat the cheese? Did you throw away the cheese? Where is the cheese? Actually, that would be a better example. So someone barges in. They're like, hey, where's my cheese? Who stole my cheese, right? They're looking at you. And you're like, 저는, 저 치즈를, and then you say and then 치즈를, and you don't say what happened. But just saying 치즈를 tells the listener. So they're really angry. They're like, where's my cheese? They hear 치즈를, they hear, you did something to the cheese. They immediately would know that. And then they would start thinking, threw it away, probably ate it in this case, because you might say, 저 치즈를, and you don't want to say it, you don't want to say you ate it, but just that piece alone is enough to tell the listener that you ate it or threw it away, you did something to it, because this object marker marks that now this is an object of a verb, whether the verb has been said or not. And then if you were to continue a sentence, 먹었어요, I ate it, they know, oh, that's what you did to the cheese. Now I know. So that's why the object marker is really important in Korean, because it can give a lot of information about what's going on without even having a verb. So they can tell what's going to happen or what is being affected in a sentence just by this object marker. Let me check the chat for a minute. Did you cut the cheese? No, but you could use it for cut the cheese in English because, as an object. But in Korean, you can't say 치즈를 자르다, and that doesn't mean cut the cheese in Korean. That just means to slice the cheese. I threw it away because it was moldy. Yes, it could be that. 미국 드라마 보는 것을 좋아해요. That's nice. Simply Sophie. Nice sentence. 한국 드라마 보는 것을 좋아해요. I like watching, and then what do you like? 보는 것을? I like the act of watching Korean dramas. 저는 치즈를 안 봤어. Yeah, you could say I didn't see the cheese. If you want, I didn't look at the cheese, literally. 저는 치즈를 싫어합니다. Okay, what I'd like you guys to do, and I know this might seem too simple for some of you, but try to make a sentence using the object marker that's not I like cheese. Some sentence that does not use cheese and that does not use like. So avoid using cheese and avoid using like. And I'm going to look at some of your sentences for the next few minutes. 치즈를 자르다. Yeah, that's right. But that just means to slice or to cut the cheese. 치즈를 자르다. 영화를 보는 것을 너무 좋아하고, you're missing, Luciana, you're missing 보는 것. There's a one word missing. I like pizza. 어떨 때 웬만하다. We're not doing questions related to other things today. This is only questions related to these three topics today, so that we have enough time to cover them all in detail. 저는 만두를 항상 먹어요. Nice, Josh. Mandu's great. I always eat mandu. 연필을 써요. Yes, I use a pencil. 식사를 합니다. Nice. I have a meal. 저는 차를 싫어요. 싫다 is another descriptive verb. It does not mean to hate when it's used with the object marker. It means to hate if you're using it with the subject marker, but it means to be, let's say, detestable or disliked. You cannot 싫다 something Instead, something is 싫다. Something is described by 싫다. So this is a descriptive verb and not an action verb. So it cannot use the object marker. Yeah, as far as Discord goes, you have to download the Discord app. Or just use it on desktop. I just use it on the desktop. I don't even have it on my phone. Okay, let's see. 피자를 만들고 싶어요. I want to make pizza. Nice. 바나나를 먹어요. 커피를 안 먹어요. 텔레비전을 보여요. 보여요? It should just be 봐요. 봐요. From 보다, to see. So what do you see or what do you look at? Well, I see or watch, if you're using it with a movie, I watch TV. As the legend Shadow wrote. 운동을 안 했어요. Nice. 한국어를 사랑해요? What are you trying to say there? 사랑해요? I love Korean. 사과를 먹고 싶어요. I want to eat an apple. 전 한국어를 배우고 있어요. Nice. 음악을 들었어요. Nice. 친구는 자기 어머니들 도와주라고 more than one object in a sentence. You can have more than one object in a sentence. So you can have, for example, someone asks, can you have more than one object in a sentence? Of course. But a verb will only have one thing that it does something to. For example, think of it in English. So I eat bananas and apples. In English, you would think, oh, bananas are an object and apples are being eaten. But in Korean, you don't need to do two object markers for one verb. You only need one object marker for one verb. Each verb only needs one object marker. In Korean, you wouldn't say 바나나를 하고 사과를. You wouldn't need to do that. All you have to do is make every. Okay. Thanks. You don't all have to spam F, but I appreciate it. Okay, we're back. Yeah, we were only gone for a few seconds. Yes, as Victoria Moran wrote, 바나나랑 사과를 먹어요. You would say and, so you can use that with 이랑 or 과, 와. Any of the ways to say and I have a video about those. You would simply connect them together, bananas and apples, and then you would say the object marker after that. So bananas and apples, object marker, 먹어요. I eat bananas and apples. You don't have to do bananas, object, 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 object for every single individual object. Another case where you might have more than one object marker is if you have more than one verb. So you might say, I watch a movie and listen to music. Well, now you have an object for watch. What do you watch? Well, I watch movies. So there's one object. So 영화, movie, 를, object marker, 보다, to watch a movie. And listen to music. Now you have listen, another verb, 듣다, and music, 음악. So you can have 영화를. Actually, let me remove the cheese. Let's get the cheese out of here. 영화를 보고, I watch a movie and 음악. Sorry, I don't know why YouTube is doing this today. It's being worse right now than normal. I love my dogs. The dogs are the object, but it's my dogs love me. Then you're the object. Yes, that's nice. Yeah, Phantom X980. That's correct. If you say, I love my dogs, then the dogs are the object because the dogs are being loved. And if it's my dogs love me, well, it doesn't matter who's doing it. It's whatever the action is doing something to. You could say, I love myself, in which case the love is still the verb and myself is now the object. 키캣. It's key cat for that, for key cat. Hey, Himag, it's okay if they spam F. Let's see. What about the Korean thingy? 이다 and 입니다. Well, what do you mean? Okay. Hold on one second. Okay, hopefully the channel will be a little bit I mean, the stream will be a little bit more reliable. Okay, so one thing to note about this, it's already 2:40. Okay, ita, to exist, or as a lot of people misuse it, well, not misuse it, a lot of people use it as to mean to have. So you might say, 저는, like I have a hat. You'd say, 저는 모자가, or just 모자, 저는 모자가 있어요. So people will use 있다, which as 있어요, to say I have something. Now, a lot of what I've seen a lot of people do, and I want to mention about the object marker, is that the object marker, again, as I said, is only used when you have a action verb. So here we have an action verb, 있다, to exist, right? Existing is doing something, right? So people might think, oh, well, then I can use an object marker with it because it's doing something. But is it doing anything to something? So think about that. Is exist doing something to something? Are you existing a hat? Or does a hat just exist? If you cannot do something with that verb to something else, YouTube, what's wrong with you? Do I need to go to a different platform? So the problem is this verb does not mean to have. I can't be in HD. Oh, really? Do you have a limit on your internet? That's terrible. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure why the app keeps crashing. I have a brand new phone almost, and everything's updated, the app's updated, but the internet's totally fine. I'm 100% sure about that. I don't have any disruptions in my other internet stuff. Anyway, so ita only means to exist. It does not literally mean to have. If it's used as to have, that's because it means, that's just how it's used, but that's not what it actually means. So if you say 저는 모자가 있어요, what you're literally saying is, as for me, or for me, a hat exists. You're not literally saying I have a hat, because ita does not mean to have. It is used to mean to have, but its literal meaning is still always to exist. So that's why I see a lot of people misuse the object marker because they think it means to have. So like, oh, I have a hat, so I should use this. Or I have a bag, something like that. Brother is mad, it makes me pay extra. No, do I need to go to another platform means like, do I need to stream on a different platform? If YouTube is going to keep doing this, then I would have to move to a different place, because I would have to go somewhere else for the live streams anyway, because I want to give you guys consistent live streams. And my internet's really fast here. Like I test it, and it doesn't cut out ever. So I mean, rarely, once every couple months it might cut out. But I'm not sure. Something wrong with the app. Just doesn't want to stay connected, keeps crashing. I've tried restarting my phone. So if anyone knows any solutions I can do to help improve it. Another thing I want to say is there's exceptions. So some verbs, and this is another common mistake. There are some verbs that have to do with communicating. For example, and I'll list a few just so you can write them down. 말하다, to speak or to talk. 전화하다, to call. And 물어보다, to ask. And any variation of these. Make sure you can see that all on the screen. Yes. And any variation of these as well. YouTube is a problem. Yeah, but Twitch doesn't allow language teaching. That's the problem. They have rules against language teaching. I could do Twitch IRL, but that's pretty much it. Might be their new up. No, it's been like this forever, as long as I know. It's done this from even before I bought a new phone. The app would sometimes crash when I was trying to do live streams with YouTube. YouTuber Pabo? No, no. You cannot use Pabo. Is not a. First of all, Pabo is not a verb, and you cannot Pabo something. Okay, so any verb that has to do with communicating. So to speak, to tell someone, call someone, to ask someone. These are not done with the object marker, even though it seems like they would be. For example, you have to call. Well, you can call someone, right? You can call something. I call my friend, I'll call the dog. But these communication ones cannot use the object marker. Instead, they have to use, it's just the way the Korean works. They don't say to call someone directly. They say to call to someone, to talk, to say, to say or to talk, like to tell that, like I'll tell him, I'll tell my brother for you, right? If you're using any of these verbs for communication, they say to. So literally they would say, I will call to you later tonight. I will tell you, I will tell it to you tonight. I will ask to him. That's why sometimes when Koreans will speak in English, you might see Koreans using to, like I will tell to him. They might misuse it like that. And that's the reason, because in Korean, that's how they do it. And to say to, there's two ways to say to. You can use ege. Well, that's really messy. Ege. Okay, I'm going to switch colors because I don't have much space here. Let's switch to green. Ege or hante. Hopefully you can see the green writing okay. It's kind of hard to see. Okay, I'm not going to use green either. I'll use brown. You can use ege or ante, which means to mark the person. I'll just try ante because this is the more common one of these is ante, which is spelled hante. So for these you would use to. So you'd say, for example, 친구 한테, to my friend, and then you could say 물어봤어요. I asked it to my friend, literally, or you might translate that as just I asked my friend. Or 친구한테 말해 주세요. Please tell to your friend. Please tell your friend. So again, anything that has to do with communication, use to and not the object marker. Yeah, Twitch has a specific rule that says no language teaching on it. If you look at their rules for streaming, it's one of those. It's language education. Search if there's a read. Go ahead, search. Let me know. If you find out anything about that, feel free to send me an email. I would be fine streaming on Twitch because I've streamed on Twitch before just for fun, and I never had any sort of issues ever with connectivity. So is Twitch. Yeah, they're both weird. Really, there is no perfect solution. It's just, I do what I can with what I have. All right, so ante, so yes, but in this case, just hante, because you don't need to use ante so. For if you're going to tell someone something, that would be for from. Okay, so now I'm going to erase this. And it's been 45 minutes. And let's go on to the next marker. I want to go on to the next marker. Oh yeah, common contractions. So the object marker is not always written as or le. Sorry, and these are easier to pronounce when they're combined with another sound. So just saying like by itself or le is tricky when you're trying to switch and quickly say it. But if you combine it with a word, koser, it's easier to say. It's easy to say this when it's part of a word and harder to say it when it's just by itself. So that's my tip for pronouncing and le is to say them as attached to an object and not by themselves. And it'll be much easier to pronounce it. So these aren't always written that way, this way, or said this way. For example, in casual Korean, kot, like I said, is a really common word, just means thing or something. Could also be used for people. It's just a thing. If you're using kot with so koser, this just becomes kol. Kol. And you've probably seen this a lot in songs. It's not the only time you'll see kol. Sometimes they use kol to mean girl, as in English. And there's another grammar form that also has kol. There's actually two grammar forms that end with kol. But kol is also a contraction. It's a common way to shorten koser. Also, cho for me with this. So you could say 저를, but 저를 is also sometimes written as 절. for I, if I'm the object, in casual Korean, when you're just speaking casually with your friends, although you might not use this when you're speaking with your friends anyway, so this is less common. 나를, for me, 날, and 너, which I said in a previous lesson, a couple lessons, do not use this. Do not use this. Don't even think about using this unless they are your best friend and they're really close with you also and younger than you or your same age. Don't use 너 with regular people or regular friends. 너를 becomes 널. So you've probably seen love songs, right? 널 사랑해 or something like that. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're just contracting the object marker with 너. So that's all it is. You might also see other words besides these that just have this letter, lir, stuck onto the bottom. It could also be a contraction of the object marker as well in those cases. Let's see. The chat froze and no new messages. They should still be showing up. Twitch Illuminati confirmed. Okay, just going to check the chat for a moment, and then we're going to go on to next one, topic marker. Topic marker is my favorite one. I think topic marker is the most important one to understand. Because I think when you really understand the topic marker, let's raise this up. When you really understand the topic marker, I think the subject marker kind of falls into place. So I think that a lot of the confusion comes from not fully understanding how the topic marker is used and not the subject marker. I think the topic marker is more important to focus on. Okay, is the chat still working okay? Someone say something in chat. I want to know if it's still working. Oh, it is. It's still working on the... Yeah, I think the chat kind of froze for me too. Okay, now it's showing up. It frozen for a little bit. What's the difference between call? Call. Oh yes, call is the exact same thing as call. It's just a shortening. But it cannot be replaced in every case. There are some particles that cannot use call. For example, if you're using 도, like also or 만, they say 것도 and 것만. So 그런 것만, 그런 것도, 것만. You're not going to say 거도, 거만. These are not appropriate conjugations. So I mean shortening. So it's not every case, but in general it's the exact same meaning. It's just a shortened version of 것. All right, let's go on to the topic marker. The topic marker is it's very fun. So first of all, it's the consonant. After a consonant, you'll add and after a vowel, you'll add nun. And you probably have all seen this before at least once. In Korean, first let me actually tell you an easy way you can translate this. So if you're a brand new beginner and you're just barely learning these, then you don't need to learn exactly how you can and can't use each one of them. And you don't exactly need to learn what this means and how it's used. You just kind of need a quick and dirty way to translate this, right? Because you just want a really quick way to understand. And you probably are used to seeing something like 저는 for me or 나는 or whatever. 는 or think of it like this. As for, or when it comes to. So this is my quick explanation, and then we'll get into a better explanation. But this is, if you just want a way to translate it, this is pretty close to its actual meaning in Korean. This is pretty close to actually how it functions in Korean, is by translating it in your head as for. If you translate this in your head as for, and it sounds okay to you, you can use it in any situation in Korean and you will be perfectly correct, right? But you can't just learn it like this because you'd have to think of every sentence in English while you're talking, so it might not be useful to keep thinking of it like this forever. But in the beginning, if you just think of un or 는 as meaning as for or when it comes to. And if it sounds okay, so you're making a sentence, you're saying, oh, can I say 저는 blah, 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 blah? Is that okay? I'm not sure. Translate the 는 or un as for. Okay, as for me, blah, 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 blah. Does it sound okay in English? If so, 100% you're good. Go on with your sentence. You will not be wrong because that's exactly what it's used for. But that's not the full explanation of it. And just knowing this doesn't give you a good idea of how it feels to use it or how it differs from the subject marker, but at least you'll know if your sentence is correct or sounds awkward or not by translating it as for. Time to clip that singing to the fan Instagram. Please don't. I actually like singing. Everyone in my family, I have 6 members in my family, and everyone in my family except my older brother can all sing, especially my mom. She's a really good singer. But my little brother likes singing. He's really good. I'm probably the worst, actually, of all my siblings. My sister has a band. She's in a band and she's a singer. My dad was in a band for a long time when he was a younger adult. He was like doing singing and stuff. He still plays like jazz guitar and stuff. So yeah, all my family does singing. I'm like the worst of them, but I still like to sing too. And my older brother doesn't sing at all, but I think he could. But it's okay. He plays it's like concert piano and does stuff like that. So we're all like a musical family, I guess. So yeah, as for when it comes to. So in Korean, when you want to talk about something, right? You have to tell people what in your sentence is the topic. So it's called the topic marker for a reason. And you might have a sentence where you might say, like, say you meet with your friend and you're talking about, oh, did you see that new Avengers movie, right? Did you see the Avengers movie? Oh yeah, I saw the Avengers movie. How was it? Oh, it was really fun, right? So we have this sentence here in English. Or let's just say it was really good to make it simpler. It was really good. So in English, we would know that you're talking about what we previously talked about because we said it. But in Korean, there are no pronouns. You don't necessarily need to say I, he, she, it, you, all of that stuff, right? It's assumed. You would just say 정말. I have a point where I'm going with this. 재미 있었어요. 정말 재미있었어요. It was really good, or it was really fun, right? So you would just say in Korean, did you see the Avengers movie? And someone would reply, 네, 정말 재미있었어요. It was really fun, right? In English, we have that word it to tell us what we're talking about, right? So we know we're talking about the movie and not something else. Korean doesn't have that. Korean, you don't need that because they know that you're talking about the same thing. They know what you're talking about already. They know what you're talking about because the topic marker, they know what the topic is of the conversation. You don't have to specify it or that or he or she for every sentence. For example, oh, do you know 철수? Oh yeah, 철수. Oh, 진짜 착해요. He's really nice. 착해요. You don't have to say in English you would have to say, he is really nice. You can't just say really nice because that's vague, right? It could mean that's a good idea or you said something really good. You know, we don't know. But in Korean, you know, the topic is already set as 철수. Oh yeah, 착해요. 철수 착해요. And then the next person can again say, oh really? 만났어요? Did you meet? In literally just did you meet? There is no pronoun. There is no him, he, she, or anything like that. It's just, oh, did you meet? The topic we're talking about? Yes, he's really nice. The topic that we're talking about is really nice. Here, did you see the Avengers movie? Yes, the topic we're talking about right now, it was really fun, the Avengers movie. In Korean, they know what the topic is of a conversation at all times. So that's why it's not necessary to say any of this extra stuff. You don't have to say, oh, 그것이, that is really fun. It's unnecessary and sounds repetitive because in Korean, they know the topic because it has been marked in the sentence with the topic marker. So I'll say that again. In Korean, they mark the topic of a sentence or a conversation, the topic, like an actual topic of conversation. So you meet up with two friends and you say, oh, hey, what are you guys talking about? oh, we're talking about the new Avengers movie. There's the topic. You know, a topic in the general sense is what's used for the topic marker. So when you use a topic marker, which again is un after a consonant or nun after a vowel, it tells the other person and anybody who's listening, this is the topic of what I'm going to talk about. This might be one sentence, it might be a paragraph. I might talk for days without even giving another topic, but I marked it once. Now you know what it is. So let me just check the chat for a moment. 고양이는 정말 귀여워요. Yes, so 17. If you say 제 고양이는 정말 귀여워요, someone else could reply, it should be 고양이 with yang, not 고야, 고양이. And then someone could reply to that, 진짜 귀여워요, or 맞아요, that's right. They don't have to say the cat again. And you can say, oh, anything you want about the cat. The cat is set as the topic. So imagine this. So this is kind of the new way that I've been explaining this. Imagine that every conversation, everyone in a conversation is in Korean is always carrying a sign. So here's Charsu, and he's talking with Youngie. It seriously looks like SpongeBob or something. Okay, and Charsu's talking with Youngie, right? Everyone having a conversation in Korean, imagine everyone is holding together, whoever's talking, is holding a sign. So we're talking together, we have a sign. What is written on the sign is the topic of what you're talking about. So you might have a conversation with your friend and you're talking about ice cream and you're like, oh, I love this ice cream. No, did you try the store over there? Like the Phillips ice cream on block 7 has the best cherry vanilla soda or an ice cream or whatever. You know, you're talking about something. The topic is ice cream. You both know that. You can clearly look at the sign anytime you want and you can see you guys are talking about ice cream. Okay, this topic would have first been introduced with the topic marker. So you know what you're talking about. However, if you want to change the topic that you're talking about, and that will be frequently, you're not going to just talk about the same ice cream. Maybe you want to talk about a different ice cream now. So now I'm like, oh, I want to talk about a soda now or something. So like, oh, we're talking about soda, and they say, oh, they have the best vanilla cream soda, and they have ice cream. You say, oh, the soda. Did you try that soda? I want to try that soda. Oh yeah, I like the soda, it was good, but actually, you know, they also have really good sandwiches. You know, you can change the topic however often you want by using the topic marker after whatever it is you're talking about. So, anytime you use a topic marker, imagine that you're changing what's written on the board that everyone's holding. And that's the topic. What that means a few things. That means, so for example, you say 저는, right? So you have a sentence, you start it with 저는. See, Billy likes Charsu. Yes, I really like Charsu. Someday I want to meet Charsu. So right here, I practice Korean by rapping the Korean songs. That's actually good, if you can do that. Yeah. 한국애로 여행 가는 거 좋아해요? You don't use 에 and 로 together. You pick one or the other. Only need to, yes. So for example, a really common usage, and I'll just say 저는, or you probably would say 나는 if you're speaking with your really close friend or maybe your boyfriend or girlfriend. So you say 저는 치즈를 먹어요. I eat cheese. Or 저는 K-pop을 좋아해요. I like K-pop. Now you've used the topic marker. You've invoked the power of the topic marker. And now it is on the sign. The topic that you were talking about is 저, me. Charsu says 저는 blah, blah, blah. The topic of what both people are talking about has now become 저. Okay? Imagine this. Because this is exactly how it works. So now anything that anyone says without using another topic marker, anything that anyone says is going to be about Charsu, unless you change the topic by using another topic marker. So Charsu could say, 저는 김치를 좋아해요. I like kimchi. 저는 K-pop을 좋아해요. 영희 씨는, so now it's 영희 씨, you, 영희는, so now we're talking about 영희. K-pop 좋아해요? Do you like K-pop? Now 영희 is the topic. 영희's talking about herself now, blah, 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 blah. And 철수 can say, 아파트가 있어요? Do you have an apartment? I know this would be the most awkward, like oblivion NPC conversation ever, but I'm trying to give you an example of you can talk about whatever you want, and when you use the topic marker, it changes what you guys are actually talking about. That you don't need to keep saying 저는. Once you've said it once. So you can say 저는 blah, 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 blah. Then you can say anything else you want about yourself, and it will automatically be assumed that you're talking about the same topic. So my sentence, all these sentences are still talking about me because we haven't changed it. 영희 could suddenly say, 맞다. Oh, that's right. I forgot something. I have to go. 나는 가야겠다. 나는 가야겠다. I have to go. Or 저는 가야겠다. Or something like, well, you wouldn't say 저는 가야겠다. Anyway, you can change the topic like that back and forth as much as you want, but it's known to both people. So the topic marker tells the other person or people that you're talking with, let's talk about this now. Which is why it's a really good translation to just think of it as meaning as for. Because whenever you say as for in English, it sounds like you're really changing what you're talking about. So you can say, oh, as for me, I like cheese. You don't need to then say the next sentence. Maybe you want to say, I also like kimchi, right? You wouldn't again say, as for me, I like kimchi. As for me, I also like K-pop. As for me, I'm going to do this today. As for me, I like watching. You wouldn't do that. You could say it once. Oh, as for me, I like kimchi, and I like K-pop, and I like going to the movie. You would say it like that. And Youngie could then say, well, as for me, I like cats. I like listening to disco music. I like dancing. As for our friend Mike, what does he do? Or, oh, as for the meeting tomorrow, are you going? Yes, I am going. Are you? Yes, I am going. As for the presentation, well, the presentation is about stock forecasting. Oh, really? As for me, I didn't prepare my presentation. Well, as for me, I didn't prepare it either. In that way. So you're placing a new topic that everybody is aware of, that everybody can now talk about. And if you translate that as for in English, it will sound kind of awkward if you use it more than once, especially when it's not necessary. So you don't need to bring up a new topic if it's already established. So that's one of the other features about using it, is that typically you'll only need to use one topic marker in a sentence because you don't need to change the topic that much. Koreans might use two topic markers in the same sentence. Maybe they're like saying, 저는 김치는 좋아요. Like, as for me, well, as for kimchi, it's really good. And it kind of sounds a little bit awkward, but it's accepted because you're saying, well, as for me, well, as for kimchi, I really like it, but I actually like this thing better. It's kind of like you're introducing two topics and switching it. So it's not necessary to use more than one topic marker in a sentence, or even more than one topic marker for a topic, for whatever you're talking about. One topic marker is more than enough. And that's why I would say, don't just use the topic marker everywhere that you want to say something. Like, I go to the movies. 저는 영화 보러 가요. 저는 영화를 보러 가요. Let me write that down. So you can say 영화를 보러 가요. So you could say 저는 영화를 보러 가요. I go to the movie. But if you say this, it has to be you weren't already talking about yourself. You were talking about something else. And now you're just saying 저는 영화를 보러 가요. If you're already talking about yourself, and then you're saying, oh, I'm going to meet my friend tonight. 저는 영화를 보러 가요. It would sound really awkward. Like, you already are talking about yourself. You don't need to say 저는 again. So instead, you could say, with the subject marker, which we'll learn, if you want to specify, like, I'm going to the movies, 제가, I am, with the subject marker, which we'll learn about next. All right, let me look at the chat just for a moment. Yeah, there's limits to how much I can do because I'm trying to watch the phone in the mirror to make sure the chat doesn't get cut off. And I'm watching the comments here, and I'm also trying to give you guys a lesson here. So if I miss something you say, feel free to either say it again or come in the Discord, the chat room, which Ahimong has posted several times in here. Come in there and you can interact with me and the other people later, and you can get answers to questions or anything else you didn't get answered. I'm going to have nightmares for as for me. Yeah, and that's what it would sound like to a Korean. They would be like, why are you saying nun? Why are you making new topics? We already know you're talking about yourself. As for me, well, as for me, as for me, as for me, as for me. It just sounds like really weird. Oh, up here I wrote Chega, but it's kind of messy. But anyway, I was just trying to show, like, if you have, once it's set, oh, and the other place. So that's the other thing I want to talk. So now I've mentioned how you can use it to mean as for, but it has one more meaning, which might not seem like as for. That is when it comes to, which is similar to as for actually. But for example, this is a sentence that I actually have in my book, but I like it, so I'm going to reuse it. Oops, I wrote that weird. 생선은 최고죠. Okay, I know I wrote this all like messy. 고등, that's 등. 고등어 means mackerel. It's just kind of fish. It's really good. They grill it, put a little bit of salt on it, and you eat it as a side dish with your meal. It's so good. It's one of my favorite Korean fishes. Okay, 생선 means fish. So you could translate this as 생선은 as for fish. 고등어가 최고예요. 최고죠. 고등어 is the best. So as for fish, 고등어 is the best, right? You're not saying fish is doing 고등어 or gonna do something or anything. The fish is not doing anything. Fish is just being set as the topic. So notice how when I said 저는 영화를 보러 가요, you automatically think okay, I'm gonna do something or I'm gonna be something, right? Not necessarily. It can also just be for talking about something in general, like how we have here. 생선은 as for fish, or when it comes to fish, right? So when you say 생선은, now you're writing, now let's talk about fish. It doesn't have to necessarily be fish is going to do something, or I like fish, or fish jumped out of the water or something like that. It's just as for fish, when it comes to fish, mackerel is the best. When it comes to fish, or as for fish, right? That's why I think when it comes to can also make a good fit sometimes. Whenever as for sounds a little bit strange, as for fish, kind of sounds a little bit awkward since you're not saying fish is doing anything, or you're not going to talk about it directly. You're not going to say the fish did something. You're just saying in general, fish, when it comes to fish, 고등어 is the best, or mackerel is the best. But it works this exact same way as the sign method that I told you about. So you say 생선은, now 생선's on this board that everyone can see. Oh, we're talking about 생선 now. Now I'm going to say 고등어가 최고죠. 고등어 is the best. 최고 just means the best. It's a noun. So 최고예요 or 최고죠. It's the best. So that's exactly how the topic marker works. Let's see. Look on here. As for me, what was the question, Ahimang? Oh, am I late? It's okay, it's okay. They can always watch it later. Okay, we're still not done with the topic marker though. This would be the end of a regular short lesson, but not a live stream. We have more time here. It's already 3:13, dang. Okay, so because of that, I wanted to point out a couple uses that you'll see it in. First of all, you'll see it used often. So now you know exactly what it is, what it means, and what the feeling, the nuance of using it is. So now let's talk about a couple specific cases when you'll see it. First of all is general statements. A statement is just a sentence that's not a question. But if you write sentence, it could mean a question too. So general, just in general, something in general. If you want to make a statement about something, right? You say, oh, wow, just a very general statement. 빌리는 똑똑해요. Okay, this is just an example sentence, right? Example. Billy is smart. In general, Billy, he's smart, right? Or I'll give you a different sentence. Okay. 사자, so lions. 사자는 귀여워요. Lions, those guys, they're all cute. Lions are so cute, aren't they? Lions, they're just the cutest things, aren't they? A general statement like that, like, hey, oranges are orange color. Isn't that something, right? A general statement. You just want to say something like, oh, wow, the houses are really big. The houses are really expensive these days. You just want to talk about something in general. Then this topic marker works really great because you're changing the topic of whatever you were talking about, or maybe you weren't talking about something. Maybe you're just walking down the zoo and you want to say, oh, man, lions are so cute, right? There is no topic on the board currently. You're not talking about anything. Your conversation has ended a long time ago. You would want to say, 사자는 귀여워요. Oh, lions are cute, right? Just in general, lions are cute. So you would use this. So that's why it's often used when just making a general statement about something. Because there is no topic. You're just generally throwing something out, but maybe you'll talk about it. You say, oh, lions, they're really cute. As for lions, they're really nice. Lions are probably not very friendly. They're kind of cute though. Let's see, evolving brain. What was the question? Would someone use the topic marker instead of re? No, it's not the actual word topic. It's not the word topic. The word for topic in Korean is 주제. That's like the actual topic of a presentation or the topic of a class. So if you want to say, what's the topic today for today's lesson? 오늘의 주제는, today's topic. As for today's topic, it's blah, 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 whatever you want to say. 주제 is the word for topic, but the topic marker simply marks what that is, of the topic of your conversation. It's not the actual literal word for topic. So no, in email, you would not use the topic marker instead of re, because it doesn't mean the word topic. Another common usage of the topic marker is to show contrast between two topics, between two things that you might be talking about. So for example, you might have, let's see. I'll give you this first. 김치를 좋아해요. Okay? 저는 김치를 좋아해요. Just a basic sentence. As for me, so me. So now we have me on the sign. When it comes to me, I like kimchi. Okay? Basic sentence. But what if we do this? So we're already talking about me. Okay, so me is up here. So we're talking about me, and you're saying something, and then you want to say, oh, I like kimchi. You could also say something like this to show contrast. So first you're talking about yourself, but then you say, oh, I like this, I like this. 김치는 좋아해요. Actually, maybe let's stop using 좋아해요, because I've used 좋아해요 a million times. Let's use dislike. I think dislike will show contrast even better. So maybe you're saying, I like soup, I like rice. And then you say, 김치는 싫어해요. Normally you would use the object marker because you're marking the object, but you don't have to use the object marker if you want to talk it in general. For example, 김치는 is saying, when it comes to kimchi, when it comes to kimchi, or as for kimchi, or hey, let's talk about kimchi now, okay? I was talking about myself, enough about myself, okay? Let's talk about kimchi. 싫어해요. I dislike it. Okay? You're not saying just I dislike kimchi because there is no object marker. You're not marking kimchi as being disliked. You're just saying when it comes to kimchi. So now we're talking about kimchi. Well, 싫어해요. I hate it. They'll know you're talking about kimchi because you're talking about kimchi. You don't have to mark it as the object necessarily. So this would be another way to talk about something when you want to show contrast. You're saying, hey, well, I like that food, I like that food, but kimchi는, when it comes to kimchi, 싫어해요. I dislike it. So you can show contrast by using this topic marker to mark something that normally wouldn't be marked. If this is your first time, once again, if this is your first time to learning these three particles, you do not need to learn these separately, like in general statements or contrast, because this could be a bit confusing to now see the topic marker being used, like how you just saw the object marker being used. But, so I would say ignore this if this is making you confused. Don't worry about it right now. Wait until you have you really feel like you understand the object marker and the topic marker, and then you can then see this, and it'll make a little bit more sense to you. Because now we're not just saying kimchi를, like, hey, kimchi, something happened to kimchi. What happened? Oh, I disliked it. We're not saying that. What we're saying is, when it comes to kimchi, 싫어해요. I dislike it. Someone dislikes it. I'm talking about I was talking, so obviously that's me, and I dislike it. Well, what do I dislike? Well, we're talking about kimchi, so obviously it's kimchi that I dislike. And now kimchi is the topic. So your friend Youngie could then say, kimchi, you'd say kimchi는 싫어해요. And Youngie might say, now she heard, you dislike kimchi. So Youngie's going to say, 저는? Well, you dislike kimchi, but as for me, 저는, when it comes to me, 좋아해요. Well, I like it, So you can show contrast, like you don't like kimchi specifically. But as for me, not you, I like it. So that's one way that it can be used to show contrast. But again, these meanings are the exact same thing as the other explanation I gave you with the sign. It's doing the exact same thing. These are just some uses for that sign. When you have a sign that shows what everyone's talking about, you can do some things with it to kind of, talk about general statements like, hey, let's talk about this, in general. I like that. Or, hey, let me show you this instead of what I was talking about before. So that's kind of how it can be used. In general statements, like the lion is cute, Koreans are friendly, Billy is smart, anything you want to say. Or contrast, to show contrast between two sentences. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I'm very sorry. I'll stop now. I'm not sure what they were saying. You're like making emphasis in that. What's the difference between 음연소, 동안? I have a video about that on my channel. The C is consonant, and V is vowel. So if the word ends in a consonant, you use and if the word ends in a vowel, you'll use 는. I have a question. Can I just say 이 수업이 감사합니다? No. The grammar on the sentence would be incorrect. Because they don't say thank you in that way. They say thank you for giving me something. And that would be a different lesson to explain how that works. Adjectives and objects together, you do not. Belarus, you do not use adjectives and objects together because adjectives are not doing anything. An object requires a verb doing something to it. So an action verb. So you can close a door. A door is the object. A verb is to close. Action verb is to close. You can hit a wall. A wall is being hit. A wall is an object. But you cannot, for example, an adjective would be clean. Like the wall is clean. Like this board is clean. You cannot to be clean a board. You could wipe, you could clean a board, an action verb, but you cannot to be clean a board. You cannot or you cannot like bright white a board. White is not a verb. You can't white something. Or you can't pretty something. You can make something pretty. That would be make. That would be a verb. So it has to be with an action verb that does something to something. Okay, let's see. Oh, and then there's some common contractions with topic markers also. So we have 것, like from before. 것 plus 은 often becomes 건. So I'm sure you've seen this before. Let's see. 저, 나노. Okay, 저는 often will become 전, especially in more relaxed, polite conversation. 나는, probably see 난. 너는 will become 넌. Again, don't use 너. It's very rude. Unless they're your really close friend and they're younger than you or your same age, don't use 너 to people. It sounds very rude. So you can have, these are common contractions, 건, 전, 난, 넌. All right. 차는 좋아해요. Yep, that's right, Tessa. 차는, well, when it comes to tea, or cars, depending on the context, probably tea though. 차는 좋아해요. Yeah, when it comes to tea, but not other things, you know. As for tea, I like it. But maybe I was talking about coffee. I don't like coffee. I don't like this. I don't like soda. 차는 좋아해요. When it comes to tea, I like that. And exactly how you could use it. Would the topic marker replace the ante? Nope, the topic marker does not replace ante. I actually did a lesson about dead-iox. I actually did a lesson about how different particles can combine. That was in my lesson where I talked about, what was it that I talked about? Oh yeah, I talked about Korean sentence structure. And I gave an overview of how some particles can combine. And ante is 한테는, if you want to use them together. Like, when it comes to that person, or as for to that person, like that. Or to show contrast. Well, to that person, I gave him the present, but I didn't give it to the teacher. There's something like that. Okay, let's go to the subject marker. Subject marker is, I think, a little bit easier than the topic marker, because the topic marker, you have to really learn a whole new concept. So, a topic marker is E after a consonant, and ka after a vowel. So what this does is much simpler than the topic marker. In English, for example, I like cheese. Okay. In English uses verb. So we have the verb here. We have the object like we learned. Well, what is I in English? What is I? It's called a subject. So in English, it kind of works like this. A subject is whatever is doing something in a sentence in English, like who or what is doing something. But in Korean, a subject is anything that, or anyone, or who or what. So I'll do who or whatever does something. I'll tell you how this is different than the topic marker. And then, who or what is something. Is, so what if does something, who or what is something. For example, in Korean, they have action verbs and descriptive verbs. So you can have the action verb 먹다, to eat, 가다, to go, or whatever like that. Let's just use 가다. It's easy. 가다, to go. So whoever is going in a sentence is the subject of a sentence. The subject, I should say the subject, not of a subject of a sentence, the subject of a verb. So every verb, whether that's an action verb like 가다, or let's do 똑똑하다, which is a descriptive verb because it doesn't do anything, to be smart and to go. So remember, action verb is anything you're doing, and a descriptive verb is anything that describes something. So 가다 is an action verb because you can go, but smart, you cannot smart something. You're not doing smart. It's just you are smart. So anything, any who or what that does something, or who or what is something, so whether you use an action verb or a descriptive verb, whatever it's used for. So the person that goes. So we could say 철수 goes, or 철수 is smart. Whatever that is the subject of the verb. So 철수 is the subject of the descriptive verb 똑똑하다. 철수 is smart. Who is smart? Well, 철수 is smart. 철수 is the subject also of 가다. 철수 is going. 철수 goes. The confusing part, I think that what people consider to be confusing, is because this seems to take... Okay, so first of all, this usage, 철수 is 똑똑하다, or 철수 is 가다. People seem to get this confused with the topic marker because they might think, well, why do... I would already say like 철수는 가다. Like as for 철수, right? Now we're talking about 철수, now he goes. Or now we're talking about 철수, well, he's smart, right? Yes. That's normally how you can do it. You can also mark the subject of a verb, not what you're talking about. This is not the conversation topic. This is not what you're talking about with the other person. This is only to mark the subject of an action verb or a descriptive verb. That's the main difference between the subject marker and the topic marker. The subject marker, all it does not tell you what you guys are talking about. It doesn't start a new sentence with contrast. Like it doesn't say, well, as for me, well, how about that? Well, as for fish, well, when it comes to him, as for me, it doesn't do any of that. All it does is it says what the subject is of a verb, or what the subject is of a descriptive verb or an action verb. And every single verb, just like the object marker, every single verb that has someone doing it or someone being a certain way, like smart, clean, tall, short, handsome, anything, any description for a person or a thing, big, small, any of that can have a subject, every single one. So you can have multiple subject markers in the same sentence if you have multiple verbs, but only one per verb, just like the object marker. So you'll only have one subject marker per verb, not a bunch of different subject markers per each verb. So I'm going to give you some examples because I know it's not clear. I know it's not going to be very clear yet. How does the subject marker differ from the topic marker? So first of all, let me just check I just spilled jalapeno juice. Oh no. That one Ewok that died. Oh yeah, I remember that, the mom Ewok. Was there only one Ewok that died though? When cheese is introduced as topic and you use cheese as a subject in your next sentence, you would use a subject marker on cheese. That's correct. If you're already talking about something and you don't want to change. So that's kind of what the point is of the subject marker. The subject marker does not change the topic of your conversation. So you could be talking about like, oh, well, as for me, I like going to the movies. I like doing this. I like doing this. Oh, and that movie was bad. Right? Oh, I love going to the movies and I like reading books and I like kimchi. So we've done all these. So right now we have our card, and on this card is 저는. So I'm talking about myself. So 저는. So I like movies. I like listening to music. Ha ha ha. Oh, but that album. Let's use the subject marker here. E, because it ends in a consonant. 그 앨범이 안 좋아요. That album is not good. The album's not good. You did not change the topic of what you're talking about. You were still talking about yourself. So, as for me, that album's not good, is what you're still saying. If you use the subject marker. The subject marker, again, does not change the subject of what you guys are talking about. It doesn't change the subject of, well, not the subject, sorry. It doesn't change the topic of the conversation. Whatever it is you're talking about stays the same. You could be talking about, like before I said 생선. You're talking about fish. So when it comes to 생선, so I wrote that sang both times, 생선. So you're talking about fish. You could be talking about 생선, blah, 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 blah. And then you said, oh, did you hear that? I love fish. And Michael Jackson released a new album about fish, and I don't like that album. I'm sorry, it's a very bad example sentence. Just bear with me. I'm trying to focus on explaining this topic, and I can't make example sentences at the same time. So Michael Jackson released an album about fish. So you're still talking about fish, but now you want to say 그 앨범이 안 좋아요. You would just say the album is not good because you're still talking about fish. If you were to say 그 앨범은 안 좋아요. Now you've switched the whole conversation just to talk about the album. So now you should then talk about, well, I didn't like the album because that song was bad and this wasn't good and the tempo was all wrong and he was singing and he didn't have gills. So you would have to switch. Now the topic is all about album. And if your friend wants to then talk about something else, or if you want to go back to talking about yourself again, you have to say 저는 again to bring it back to yourself. So you don't need to change the topic every single thing you're talking about unless you actually want to say, hey, let's talk about this now. So if you want to say, hey, okay, wait, let's now talk about this instead. 저는, 이것은, use the topic marker. But if you don't, if you just want to add an extra point or talk about something, use the subject marker, because all the subject marker does is says, this is the subject of the verb that's going to come after it. Just like the object marker, all it does is says, this is the object of the verb that's going to come after it. So here too, 이 앨범이, okay, now we're going to say something about the album. Just like the object marker, now we're going to say something that happens to it. Something happened to it, like when I gave you the example with cheese, like 저는 치즈를, well, I did something with the cheese. What did I do? I ate it. The same thing with the subject marker. 그 앨범이, okay, now we're going to say something about the album. But our conversation is still about the same thing. The topic has not changed at all. It's still about me or whatever it is you put in the topic. You're just saying the album is not good. That's all it does. It just says, when you use it, it just says this subject, this noun, this word, I'm going to say something about it. Whether it does something or is something with an action verb or a descriptive verb, something is coming up. I'm going to tell you about it. That's all it means. But we have not changed the general topic. This is the reason why it's confusing though. The other reason why it's confusing. Because if you have only this sentence, so you don't know, you're like reading in a book and you're thinking to yourself and you're like listening to K-pop and you're lying in your bed and you're like wondering, can I say, like Billy had a good live session today, but I don't understand. Can I say 그 앨범이 안 좋아요, or should I say 앨범은 안 좋아요 if I want to tell someone about an album, right? You might think, oh, well, I should be able to say that. Or I should be able to say this too, right? If I want to say I just want to say something about the album. I don't want to change the topic. But then should I say the subject marker, or should I say the topic marker or the subject marker? You can go back and forth in your head and both of them will make sense. I guarantee you, both of these will make sense to you. Because they both make sense. Perfect sense. They both are correct. Most of the time, as I introduced in the very beginning of this lesson, most of the time, both of the topic and the subject marker will be correct in a general sentence. The reason that one or the other will be preferred is only due to the context of the sentence. Like, how is it being used? Like, are you already talking about yourself and now you just want to make a quick fact about the album or someone else? Or do you want to just talk about the album, right? It's your preference. How do you want the other person to perceive what you're saying? Do you want the other person to think that you're changing the topic or not? If you want to change the topic, use the topic marker. If you want to keep talking about the same topic, but you just want to say something about something, use the subject marker. That's all there is to it. But I know it takes a big explanation to reach this point here. Both of them are okay. They both have different meanings. Does that kind of make sense? After going through this really long-winded explanation to get to where we are right now, both of them are correct. They just have different uses. I'm going to look at the chat just for a little bit. The answer is context, yes. But if you are confused, because even if I explain it like this, even if I explain all of this and give you like 5-hour lesson about these two particles and you get it, you really get it. Tomorrow you might not get it. You might forget this because these are very beginner concepts that even advanced Korean learners have difficulty with. Koreans don't have difficulty with because Koreans use these all the time. But as a learner, I got these confused all the time. Even after I could speak Korean, like 2-3 years speaking Korean, I still got these confused. It took me a lot of extra conscious thinking to really get these down. And okay, now I know how they actually feel different to me. But a lot of times the topic marker and the subject marker will both be completely appropriate. And in the sentence I just gave you, 저는 그 앨범이 안 좋아요. Or just 그 앨범은 안 좋아요. Both of those are correct. Both of those are okay. It just changes what you're talking about. And it tells the other person like, hey, let's show some contrast. Like, oh, about that album, 그 앨범은. Okay, now as for that album, when it comes to that album, let's talk about that for a minute. That's all it does, is when you use the topic marker, you're changing the whole topic of what you're going to be talking about. And when you use the subject marker, you don't. That's not the whole lesson though for today. We have some more stuff we'll talk about using them together. The topic marker and the subject marker are sometimes in the same sentence. But I just want to first clarify just the usage of the topic marker and the subject marker. I hope that kind of clears it up. Discord. Good, my computer froze right as you said the most important part. It's okay, this will be uploaded on the channel. Just find this spot and watch it again. Yes, if you wanted to emphasize as for me, you can. So if you're already speaking and they already know that you're talking about yourself, so you've already said it once, but you think, it's been a while. Like, I've talked a lot. Like I've said 10 sentences all about myself. You could again say, 저는, again, just to bring it up again, kind of like saying, hey, look, as for me, right? You can do that. That's okay. But it's just not necessary unless you really need to do that, which is why it's awkward to repeat the same topic more than once. But the subject doesn't matter. The subject marker is just like the object marker. Object marker only says, here is something that's going to have something happen to it, right? Like cheese를 먹어요. The cheese is going to be eaten, thrown away, I don't know, but something's going to happen. Subject marker is the exact same thing. Here is something. He was doing good. It was doing good for like an hour. Okay, hopefully I didn't miss too much. So basically I was just saying both of these, both the subject marker and the topic marker can both be 100% natural. It all depends on the context. Yeah, but YouTube doesn't like it when I get all fired up. All right. So yes, once more, I'll even say it again. Both of these can be 100% natural when used. They can both be 100% natural. What will make one more or less natural will depend on the context. But with that said, there are usages where you'll have both of them. So let's talk about that. Because I got 20 minutes left, and I do want to keep it under 2 hours or at 2 hours if possible. It's never happened where I kept it at 2 hours. I did like 2 hours and like 5 minutes last time. Okay, so you can use one of these because it just marks, all it does is marks and says some noun, something is going to be the subject of a verb. That's all it means. You can have multiple in a sentence. So let me give you a quick example of that. Oh, that's right. This one's dying. Let me use my other black one. So you can have the sentence, 철수가 만든. Remember we did the class about changing action verbs into adjectives? I did a live stream class about that. This is what it is. So 철수가 만든 cake. The cake that 철수 made, right? The cake that 철수 made. 는 or 가, either one. So we're going to talk about the cake that 철수 made. Do I want to change the conversation? Let's talk about the cake that 철수 made now. 철수가 만든 케이크는, or do I want to say, maybe we're talking about something else. Maybe we're talking about 철수, right? So we're talking about 철수 right now. We're already talking about 철수, and I don't want to change the topic. I don't want to talk about the cake. I just want to say the cake was gross. 케이크가. And then you could say, 맛 없어요. Is not delicious. Tastes bad. 철수가 만든 케이크가 맛없어요. So now the conversation topic is still whatever you had it as. So it's still 철수 or whatever. Or maybe you want to talk about it a little bit. 케이크는. Now the topic is cake. The cake specifically, 철수가 만든 cake. Oops. Not cheesecake, just cake. I was thinking cheesecake. I'm getting hungry. Okay, 철수가 만든 cake. So if you do 는, now you've set the new topic. So now we're going to talk about the cake. But both of these are perfectly correct. Both of these are perfectly natural ways to say the sentence. It's just slightly different meaning, right? Let's see. If nothing was marked with 는, you can't introduce a subject. That's right, because, well, the subject you can mark, like I said, the subject of a verb you can always mark with the subject marker. But if there is no topic yet, you don't have to necessarily introduce a topic unless you want to tell the person, hey, let's talk about this. And you write it on the board for both of you to see. Then now you're talking about a topic. If there is no topic set, so you're not talking about anything yet, you don't have to bring up a topic unless you want to say, let's talk about something. You could just use the subject marker and just start talking about something like that. And then from that, they will assume what the topic is that you're talking about. Just from talking about, like, hey, if you just suddenly walk up to someone and say, well, your friend, 철수가 만든 케이크가, you're using the subject marker, there's no topic yet, there's nothing written on the board. 철수가 만든 케이크가 맛없었어요. Oh, the cake was so gross. They will assume, oh, the topic is, even though you said the subject marker, the topic is more of a fluid thing. It's more of a loose thing, right? So they'll think, oh, now we're talking about the cake. Okay, because there was no other topic placed. That's why it's kind of more of a general, like the topic marker actually marks the general topic, you know, the actual topic of what your conversation is. It's not just the whatever a verb is doing. It's not really specific. It's just the general topic of what you're talking about, which is why it has so many uses in Korean. So if you have both of them, so first of all, you can have more than one in a sentence. And the other thing I want to say is whenever you have a sentence that is set, a sentence phrase that is set inside of another sentence. For example, like 철수가 만든. So in English, we would say something like the cake that 철수 made. Or maybe we would say 똑똑한 사람, the smart person, or the person who is smart, right? We would have this word who or that in English, or even which, the person which is smart, you know, the person which made the cake, something like that. Specifically though, that and who are the most common. Whenever we have this, it means that there's either an descriptive verb or an action verb that has been changed into an adjective. And I did a live stream already about this, so I'm not going to teach this concept again. Please watch that. But whenever you have a sentence that's inside of another sentence, so you have 철수가 만든, so a cake that 철수 made, or a person who, or a person that is smart. This that meaning, or this who meaning, if you ever have an action of a verb, you have to use the subject marker because you are not making this the topic of what you're talking about. If you say 철수가 만든, if you say 철수는 만든, right? 케이크는, it sounds really awkward. What you're doing is, and I'll go back to my sign example. So you have a sign. If you were to say 철수는, the cake that 철수 made, now you're saying 철수. We're talking about 철수 here. 철수는, as for 철수, well, 만든 케이크는, the cake that he made, now you're switching the subject, the topic, to cake now. There was no reason to say 철수는, 케이크는. It's kind of weird to do that. So they always will just use, for whenever you have this sort of nested, if you're familiar with programming, this would be similar to like a nested clause. So anytime you have a sentence phrase that's used as an adjective, which again, I covered in my previous live stream. So if this is confusing to you, don't worry. It means you missed that live stream. Go watch that. Anytime you have any sort of descriptive clause like that with an action verb or descriptive verb, and you have a subject for that verb. So here, 만들다, to make. Who made it? 철수 made it. Mark it with the subject marker, not the topic marker. This is a very important thing to remember because it's really common that people will use these sort of nested clauses, these sort of, one sentence piece embedded in another sentence. Another example would be a quote. If you do a quote, like I said that 철수 did it. I said that 철수 did it. There's two sentences in here. First, I said something, and then, well, what did I say? 철수 did it. So quoting is another one. So you said 저는 So, okay, so now in the box, the conversation box, it's 저, me, I. As for me, 철수가 했다. Cool? This is a quote. This is cool means the end of a quote here. 말했다. Or 말했어요. So as for me, I said that 철수 did it. You don't want to use the topic marker here because 철수 is not the topic, what you're talking about, right? 철수 is simply to mark who did the verb. That's all the subject marker does. All it does is mark who or what is doing or is the verb. So you could say maybe not 했다, right? So let's do it with the descriptive verb, different type of verb. 철수 didn't do it, but 철수 is 철수가 I'll say 철수 smart, okay? 똑똑 하다고. So I said 철수 is smart. 철수가 똑똑하다고. Not 철수는 똑똑하다고. If you were to say 저는 철수는 똑똑하다고 말했어요, it would sound awkward. Grammatically, you could do that, and I can give you, if you really want to know, I can give you a context in which that would be okay. It would be like, as for me, well, I said 철수 as opposed to everyone else. Well, let's talk about him. He's smart. That's what I said. That's what it would mean. Where you might want to say that. Maybe there would be a situation where you'd want to say that. Like, in that situation, I was contrasting that 철수 was smart. Sure, but probably not. You would just want to, because you're just talking about yourself. I said 철수 is smart. 철수가, or E if it's after a consonant, 가 똑똑하다고 말했어요. So we're not changing the topic. We're still talking about me, but I'm just saying 철수 is the one who is doing, well, not doing this, but 철수 is this verb. So 철수, 가, okay, now we've marked 철수 is the subject. There's going to be a verb. I don't know if that's action or descriptive. 똑똑하다고, okay, it's descriptive. Smart. Who is smart? 철수, because 철수 is marked as the subject. That's all it means. And that's why often, whenever you have these sort of nested sentences with two sentences, the first part will be marked with 는. And the inside part will be marked with the subject marker. That's the reason why this will happen. So if you came in here wondering, I hope Billy tells me how do I use it when there's two in a sentence, this is what it is, really. It's whenever you have a nested sentence inside of another sentence, the reason is because this is not the topic. It's just you're just talking about the one verb. The topic is something else. It can be the cake if you want. It doesn't even have to be the cake. You can make cake with ka as well. It's just not 철수가 만든. That's only regarding the who made the cake. So I hope this part kind of makes sense. Again, if this part's confusing to you, it's only because you didn't watch the previous lesson about changing action verbs to adjectives. So don't beat yourself up. You just haven't learned it yet. But I'm just trying to explain more how the topic and subject marker are used in those situations. And I kind of also explained that when I did that lesson as well. Let me look at the chat just for a little bit. You can notice the love for the language and sharing the knowledge to others. I hope so. I like doing this. It's fun. Yeah, so again, if this is confusing, do not worry about it. I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm not trying to give you like a trick, like, the meaning of these markers is exactly what I told you before with like the board. That's what it is. But these are just some more specific usage cases because people often bring these up. They say, well, why do I use it like this or like this? The reason is it all comes back to the original explanation I gave for the topic marker and the subject marker of how they work. And that's just some features that you'll see that come from that original meaning. This is what it leads to, this happening. Because you don't want to change, you're not changing the topic, you're just saying something about yourself. Saying 철수 did it, you're just saying 철수 did it. You're not trying to say 철수 is the topic now. You're not talking about 철수, you're talking about yourself. Okay. So, next is, I want to do some we're almost done. Common contractions. So, 곧 and 것이. So, 곧 plus the subject marker becomes 개. You've probably seen this before. This is really common. This one also you've probably seen. 저, 가. This is a required. So, I'll give you 3 more contractions that are actually required. anytime you have 저 for me and 가 for the subject marker, it has to become 제가. Same with 나. 나는. It's not 나가. It's 내가. And then same with 너. You might hear some people say 너가 if they're trying to like use some dialect. There's kind of it's a little bit of a dialectal thing. 너가 is actually pronounced as 내가 originally. But this more often gets pronounced as 니. So it's just kind of how it happens. But again, I don't recommend using 너 because it's very rude unless you're using it to your really close friends. I've said this 3 times now. I hope that it goes in. Don't use 너. It's not safe to use with strangers, only for your closest friends who are the same age as you or younger. But yes, so these ones are required. You have to do 제가 for 제가 or 내가 or 내가 or 네가, either one. Then 것이 has to become 개. Sorry, it doesn't have to become 개. 것이 can become 개, optionally in casual speech. His chat is frozen. I don't think it's frozen. Should be okay. Is it? Is the chat frozen? 애기? Yeah, 애기 is a dialect. Oh, you're thinking of 얘기. 얘기 is not a dialect. 얘기 is just a contraction of 이야기 used by young adults and teenagers. 이야기 means story, which becomes 얘기. I wrote that backward. 얘기. It's the same thing. But that's different from 애기. 애기 is just dialect for baby, which is from 아기. 애기. This is dialect, though. This is not standard Korean. Okay, we're almost done. I did get through all the topic marker and subject marker things I wanted to talk about, but a little bit more. So, one more thing that you'll see these used in is when you're asking a question about who or what. So, for example, if I want to say 누가, who, we have the 가 here, which is the subject marker. 누가 my, let's write 저의 to make it easier. 누가 저의 치즈를 먹었어요. So here we have who ate my cheese. 누가 제 치즈를 먹었어요. If you were to give this answer, I'll let this be a quiz. I'll make this a quiz question. If I were to ask who ate my cheese, and you wanted to say I ate the cheese, or 철수 ate the cheese, or let's do 강아지, the puppy. 강아지 means puppy or dog. 강아기? What am I doing? Okay, 강아지. So would we say, so we're going to say 강아지 ate it. 강아지 먹었어요. Would we use the topic marker 강아지는, or would we use the subject marker 강아지가? And why? This will be our quiz question for today. Let's all go to Korea and randomly say informal sentences. That would be really mean. You can, but it would be like running up and swearing at a bunch of people in America. I mean, you could do it. It would just be rude. You guys know it. Okay. Yeah, you can use, okay, once again, you can use both grammatically. You'll be okay. But typically, if you're asking who ate something, when you answer who or what about any sort of question, who or what, the answers will often be marked with simply just the subject marker, not the topic marker. The reason for that is the topic could be something else. The topic might be, my cheese, maybe. Maybe the topic would be assumed to be my cheese. It's not necessary to introduce a new topic when you're simply answering a question. You're not saying, let's talk about the dog, right? 강아지는, well, as for the dog ate it. You're simply saying, because if you were to do, like again, I said, you can grammatically, you can use the subject marker or the topic marker. But if you were to say 강아지는 먹었어요, so someone says, who ate my? You said, the dog. Let's talk about the dog. You see, the dog, he ate it. It's not necessary. You don't need to bring the dog into the conversation. You don't have to say, well, let's talk about the dog now, right? No, not necessary at all. They're just asking a simple question. Who ate my cheese? The dog ate my cheese. There is no conversation. Just who? The dog. Or I did it. 내가, 제가, like that. That's why this subject marker is most often used when simply answering a question about who or what. Because you don't need to start a topic of conversation. You're just quickly answering a question. It's not necessary that you bring it into a conversation and talk about it. Because using the topic marker, again, introduces to the other people, hey, let's talk about this. Like when it comes to the dog, well, as for the dog, he ate it. You don't need to say that unless you want to talk about the dog. Maybe you can say, 강아지는 그거 먹었어요. The dog ate that. Actually, the dog's kind of sick. I really apologize for that. I'll replace it. Maybe you want to talk about it. Okay. Probably not. Just 강아지가 먹었어요. Okay, yes, the Discord. Check out the chat room. A lot of people are here. How many people are in the chat room right now, Ehimon? How many people did we get? So again, the reason for this is you're not changing the topic. You're only just asking the subject of the verb. They're just saying, who is the subject of 먹었어요? Who is it? You just need to mark the subject of the verb. They're not asking for a new topic. About 300. Okay, so we got about 100 more people. Let's see. 어제는 제가 안 잤어요. Okay, that's pretty much it for the lesson. I think I actually finished on time. Let me give you one more example to think about. We're done with the lesson today. We actually finished on time. I'm really impressed. Okay. I'm not Korean. I'll be an American today. 사람입니다. I'll just use 입니다. It's not that common though, but yeah, whatever. 입니다. Okay, so 저는 미국 사람입니다. And the sentence, 제가 미국 사람입니다. Which one is correct? Again, just kind of a review. Think about this. Which one of these would be correct? Would both be correct? In what situations would one be better? In what situations would another one be better? Think about this for a little bit. If you have any thoughts about that, feel free to write them in the chat. If they seem good or bad, I'll let you know. Hopefully this should kind of make a little bit more sense, the difference between these two sentences after this lesson. So let me know your comments. I'm going to go in the chat and I'm going to kind of read what you guys are thinking about this now. Okay. Could use both. Yes. So you can use both. So you can use both of these, but I want you to think about what would be the difference. Like when might you want to use one or when might you want to use the other, or what would using one kind of mean? What would using the other mean? Because these are both correct grammatically, but there would be situations where you'd probably want to use one and you'd probably want to use the other. So anyway, everyone, thank you for coming. The lesson's now over, but I'm going to continue looking at the chat for another few minutes. So if you're watching this live, if you're watching this later on my channel, you can feel free to stop the lesson, but I do want to interact a little bit more with you guys. So that's my lesson on the subject marker and the topic marker. If you are a Patreon, make sure you check out the Patreon page because I'm going to post these outlines, the outline of the lesson today, as well as there's some extra sentences on here that I didn't get to. I'll post those on Patreon for everyone for free. Well, kind of free. They're people who are paying, but it's free. Anyway. 저는, thanks for listening. You're welcome, guys. I can't get on the chat. I'm not sure about that. If it doesn't work, it should work though. The last point you mentioned, yes, this is the end of the lesson. So this should be, it might not be very clear. You might still be wondering, oh, should I use 저는 or 제가? That's okay. I want you to think about the lesson that we've talked about today and kind of ask yourself, well, what would it mean if I said this? Or what would it kind of mean if I just said this, right? That's what I want you to think about, because like I said at the very beginning, both of these can be correct. 저는, if you want to focus on you, okay. 제가, if you want to give a general statement about it. Well, by general statement, you mean like just saying something. Yeah. But I did also say you can use 저는 는 for also just saying something general. 저는 probably in 자기소개. Okay, yes, that's good. That's right. Thanks for not hiding all this stuff behind it. Yes, you're welcome. The live streams will be free always. Unless I might do like an extra live stream for members in the future, but that won't be these topics. They would be maybe something else. But I'm still going to be doing all these YouTube live streams for free. The only way to master these is through exposure. That's correct. You have to, it'll take time. And again, this is a very, I think this is a very time-consuming topic for everyone. Even though it's taught as a beginning topic, like I said, I've encountered many people who speak fluent Korean almost, but misuse these. Or I shouldn't say fluent, I should say decent Korean. Like good Korean level, you know, they can put together good sentences, that they'll still misuse these because it takes a lot of practice to get good at them, to really not just understand exactly how they're used, but really feel different about them, because they will end up having a different feeling to you. But this is my best explanation of how those actually work and how they do feel. Starting to make a lot more sense though. Oh, you're welcome. My Korean keyboard isn't working. Oh no. I've been watching the last 10 minutes. Now that you missed everything then. The last 10 minutes had like a summary and a difficult example of using them together. Again, if you're able to, definitely check out the Discord. There has been several links posted in this chat. You can go check it out. Right now, I guess it's about 300 people hanging out there. You can ask Korean questions, practice speaking in Korean, make friends there. You can share whatever music you're listening to. There's different channels there's different rooms in this chat room for all of the whatever discussion you want to do related to Korean stuff. And the only rule, we have some rules in there, but the main rule is be nice to other people, be friendly. That includes us mods, us moderators. We also will be friendly to you. If you come in and you're like trying to troll us, we'll just kick you out. We want everyone to be friendly. It's a friendly atmosphere for practicing your Korean and studying. Talking about America with friends, but they said something incorrect and you wanted to add the detail that you're American. Yes, they're very good. Nice, Tessa. You got it. Speaking of that, Busan, you describe it as not cold. Your partner will likely talk about Busan, think about other places that are cold. Okay. You Discord know how to. Yeah, Discord's, it's just like it's like a chat thing, like a IRC or Skype chat, just with a lot of chat rooms in it. And it's completely free. You can join the chat. If you are a member of my YouTube or a member of my Patreon, send me a message on the Discord and I'll give you a special member flair. Anyway, so I'm going to stop it with here. I'm not going to keep going because I don't want this to be too long. Thank you everyone for coming. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on this video when it's uploaded, or send me a tweet, YouTube comment on any of my videos. You can send me an email or contact me through my website, contact you through the Discord chat or Facebook page, anything. There's a lot of ways to contact me. I read all of them. Thanks for coming. I will see you guys again next week. I will put a vote for next week's topic, probably this Tuesday, and you can vote on what the next topic will be. I guess it might be nominalization because a lot of people wanted that, but we'll see. So thanks for coming. I'll see you guys again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. Okay, KiCat, can you turn this off for me? KiCat. No, you gotta come. No, stop. Come around the other side. Yeah, okay, come around here. Okay. No, it's the X at the top. The X, the little one. Yeah, that. No, the right side. That one. Yeah, that.